Well, good afternoon or good evening to some of you. For some, it may still be in the morning. We've got people today from many different time zones. So I'm Sharon Megdal. I'm director of the University of Arizona Water Resources Research Center, and it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you all today to the webinar, Women in Water, Networking and Leading Across the Globe. Want to remind you all to please mute yourselves. We'll have a rich program today of number of speakers. We'll take some Q&A discussion toward the end. We do go to 15 minutes after the hour. We'll try to get to questions by the top of the hour. We understand some of you have to leave, but we'll be going till 15 minutes after the hour. And then please enter your questions or comments in the chat function. We are recording this and we will be posting the recording on our website. We expect to get that up usually within about 24 hours of the webinar. All of you have registered. We'll get notice when the recording is available. I do want to respectfully acknowledge that the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of Indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and the Yaqui. Committed to diversity and inclusion, the university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and Indigenous communities through educational offerings, partnerships, and community service. As noted here on the slide you're looking at, we do have some upcoming events. We invite you to go to our web pages, subscribe to our weekly wave to keep up to date with all our great programming. But the couple coming up, we have the Darcy Lecture from the National Groundwater Association on living fossils, looking at ancient groundwater. On February 7th, we have a hybrid event here where we're hosting Dr. David Young, who will be speaking about his book, Damming the Gila River Indian Community and the San Carlos Irrigation Project from the years 1900 to 1942. That's both in person and via Zoom. And then we have our annual Chocolate Fest, which is usually scheduled right around Valentine's Day at 4 p.m. At the Water Center, 350 North Campbell in Tucson, also via Zoom. And we're going to announce our photo contest winners, and we have a special program where we have the tables turned. I'll be interviewing some of our NPR radio host, Chris Conover and Zach Ziegler. Next slide, just in terms of upcoming events, we have some other water webinars. We haven't listed them all here, so do go to our website and subscribe to the Weekly Wave. But I ask all of you to save the date for our May 2021 conference on shared borders, shared waters, working together in times of scarcity. It's going to be a very full program looking at borders shared with Mexico, Indigenous nations, and all types of borders. And that will be at the University of Arizona Student Union, and we do offer free Zoom registration for one directional live streaming. And then finally, and very quickly, just want to note for those of you university types from the state universities, any of them in Arizona, we'll be announcing through tomorrow's Weekly Wave the opening of application for the 104B and 104G grants. So please take a look at that. So moving now to the program, we have 4 speakers. It's really exciting, and they're going to go in the order in which I introduce them. Elizabeth Cook serves as the senior manager for the international programs at the Environmental Law Institute and leads the Women in Water Diplomacy Network's process support team. And she'll be talking about the Women in Water Diplomacy Network. And she's got over 15 years of extensive experience internationally, and now located back in the United States. She's with Stockholm International Water Institute, and now with Environmental Law Institute. Elizabeth holds an MA in Government Diplomacy and Strategy and a BA in International Relations. She will be followed by Darnella Melanson, who is an enrolled member of the Fort Umaca tribe, Indian tribe, located on the borders of California and Arizona along the Colorado River's lower basin. Darnella's served for 2 terms in her as a tribal councilwoman, and that's when she really got active in promoting water sustainability. And she is, and she'll probably say this, shows blessed to serve as co-chair of the Indigenous Women's Leadership Network. That's what she'll be talking about. She's a U.S. Army veteran and retired California law enforcement sergeant, 2 roles that led to her warrior spirit. So now we know why she has warrior in her email address that she uses. And then Darnella will be followed by Emma Robbins, who's Dene from the Navajo Nation. She's an artist, activist, and community organizer. She's the founder and executive director of the Chapter House, an Indigenous community arts organization based in Los Angeles. And she is the CEO of Planet Women, the organization she's going to talk about, an organization collaborating with women-led conservation, policy, human rights groups. And she completed her BFA at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and studied Latin American art history in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And she's exhibited and has her artwork that's dedicated to broken treaties and the missing and murdered Indigenous women crisis. And Emma, sometime we'll have to have you do more. We've had you talk some about your artwork in the past. And then finally, Megan Scott is an attorney with the Noble Law Office in Yuma, where she represents multiple irrigation districts in the Yuma area, as well as the Barred Water District located in California. She handles legislative and government affairs from the Yuma Fresh Vegetable Association. And with the Agribusiness and Water Council, she helped form the Arizona Association of Women in Water and Agriculture, the organization and effort she's going to talk about. Megan was born and raised in Yuma, Arizona, as the daughter of a third-generation Yuma farmer. So we have a great lineup of speakers, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth's the only one that's using slides. She's going to share a slide, and then we'll move to Darnella, Emma, and Megan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Am I unmuted now? Yes. Wonderful to be part of this outstanding lineup today. I really just want to start with a big thank you to those that brought us together. And a special thank you to Dr. Begdal, who I've known for, I think, 15 years or so, always working to bring people together and to cultivate nuanced understanding of complex problems. So I'm really happy to continue that legacy with her today. I also want to give a quick shout out to all the network members. I see people coming in. I think I saw about, I don't know, at least a dozen Women in Water Diplomacy Network members here. So you'll hear from me a little bit now, but they're here with us as well. So my name is Elizabeth Cook. I'm at the Environmental Law Institute, and I've had the pleasure of working to support the Women in Water Diplomacy Network for about 7 years now. The network is a community of practice of women water experts and diplomats that was originating in the Nile Basin in 2017. We were really a smaller group then, maybe 30 women water diplomats from across the 11 countries of the Nile Basin. And it really started to grow in a new global direction in 2021 when our sister network was established in Central Asia, Afghanistan. Shortly thereafter, we launched a global strategy, and this has really led to this global community of women engaged in transboundary water cooperation from a variety of different entry points across a lot of different basin communities right now. Our focus has been to elevate women into decision-making roles in transboundary water with a really specific focus on the peace and security outcomes and implications of those discussions and decisions. Just in 2023, at the end of the year at the Colorado River Water Users Association, we had the pleasure of launching our North American network, which some of you are also familiar with. And I'll share a little bit more about our North American efforts in a moment. All of the efforts that you will hear about are guided by this global strategy, a path forward for women, water, peace, and security. So we're working to elevate those intersections, but also create more understanding of the value of those conversations. In 22, when we launched our global strategy, Commissioner Marilyn Farr from the International Joint Commission in Canada joined us there to put a strong motivation and ambition behind our efforts to expand our community into North America. And this really set us on a path of cooperation with a lot of new partners across US, Canada, Mexico, and a variety of different Indigenous nations across the region. We had a big step forward in our community's efforts when we took a collective engagement around the UN Water Conference 2023, which was the first time that the UN had brought together the members of the UN around water for almost 50 years. So it was a really critical moment. And our partners at University of Arizona, the Gila River Indian communities, the Colorado River Indian communities, and many, many other partners all came together around water cooperation and elevating the real importance of having those decision-making bodies that are making critical water and climate decisions right now. Those bodies need to look like the people that they're serving. So this effort to make our decision-making bodies really representative and reflective of the variety of different needs and users in our shared basins. In North America, we've really just gotten off to a start in our efforts. We've had a variety of different consultation efforts. I am sure some of you have been part of those conversations, not only at CRUA, but also in subsequent conversations and events held with partners so far. That's really helped the network get a sense of priorities and understanding of the needs and interests of women and water diplomats in North America, a constant process, of course, and helped us shape a call to action, which we are, of course, currently looking to mobilize resources around to create the kinds of in-person and global opportunities for network members and champions in North America as in other parts of the world. I promised Sharon I would mind the time, and I will. The North American champions in the network also recently participated at the Women in Water Diplomacy Network's second annual Global Network Forum in Vienna. This was a really amazing opportunity to bring together almost 100 women water diplomats from, I believe we were 38 different countries and territories. And it was really a unique experience to learn from each other and shape our collective actions and priorities together. These opportunities are very rare, as I'm sure we'll hear from other panelists today, and really transformative for those who are participating. The network has a really great history now and a lot of experience supporting in-person, online, peer-to-peer learning. And I think perhaps those in North America have likely interacted with the network at some of these major international water regional water policy events where we make a collective effort to advance agenda around women's leadership, youth empowerment, and gender equality in water decision making. We have so many events in the last year. I would really encourage you all to take a moment. I know Sharon is going to be sharing the slides after this event, but so some of you might see familiar faces in our engagements this year. We've had events and workshops in North America, the South Caucasus, Southern Africa, and globally. and Central Asia and Afghanistan. The network is a real opportunity for women water experts and male champions supporting women's leadership and gender equality to join hands and work collaboratively across different areas of critical importance to water cooperation. Our community has really grown in the last years from a community really focused again in the Nile Basin to one that really has a global stakeholder community. And it's, I think, really been inspiring for many parts of our network community in the development of the network in North America, because many of the basins and women water diplomats involved in our process have been facing water insecurity for a very long time, dealing with back-to-back crises in a difficult context. Many of those trends are now global trends, sadly, and we have much to learn from our sisters and brothers who have been struggling with water security for a time now. One of the biggest questions that we often get is how can I become involved? And we would love you all to think about how you can be involved with the network and how we can engage your expertise and interests. Really, all we are looking for in our members are active engagement. Typically, network members engage recurrently and often in our activities. And of course, there are many ways to show your support for the network globally and here in North America. And we have here a QR code and also a campaign open right now to support the network in North America, which I'm really excited about. So there's lots to do. I would really encourage anyone here in this call today to think about joining the network activities and interacting with our broad community of women water experts, and reach out for more information to myself or via our LinkedIn page or our newsletter. I know that the center has graciously put some links in the chat as well. And I'll just say thank you once again to the University of Arizona and Dr. Megdal and her team and all of you on the panel. So thank you very much for learning about the network with me.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. You covered a lot in actually less than the time I had granted you. So way to go. Because we do want to get to discussion and questions. And so do connect through the LinkedIn page. That's where a lot of the reports and so forth are available. So I'm going to turn over the mic and screen now to Darnella. So welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Kawitsa Kumatum, Inyap Imuyans, Darnella Melanson, Fort Yuma Quetzan tribe. I'm the daughter of the late Denise Dugan and the late Sam Strickland, and I was raised on the reservation. So I'd just like to say hello, even to the men. I see some of you commented in the chat asking if you're the only men and the only man in the place. I doubt that. So I'm going to go over the reason why networking is important, and then also some of the history of the Indigenous Women's Leadership Network. I am one of the current co-chairs. And before I go into who the others are and who the founding co-chairs are, I'll just talk a little bit about why we network and it's important. And being a past tribal council member, I remember my first term, you're kind of thrown into hearing all about, the upper and lower basin and the Colorado River and water rights. And it is a lot, and it's such an important work. My heart just really was pulled into it even more so once I became a member of the tribal council. So I just want to quickly share the root of the word networking comes from the word net. And when you think about Indigenous Women's Leadership Network, that's where it came from. It was started by catalyzation by the Water and Tribes Initiative in 2021, and currently is coordinated by the Western resources, advocates, but those things are changing. There's a partnership brewing at the moment, which will change the structure somewhat, but I'll talk about that more as I go along. So the Indigenous Women's Leadership Network also goes by IWLN. Mission is comprised of 4 co-chairs, which is in place to connect emerging Native American women leaders to established leaders and growing collaborative engagement. And that's again speaking to that net, that safety net, that safe space. There's a range of types of leaders from tribal governance to city and state and federal leaders, global leaders, as well as scientists and those working on sustainability, water rights, and the environment. And it's such a large work. So it is nice to have this community. And although I was not a founding member, I was at the inception where I was able to meet all the ladies and hear the vision and now see it come to fruition and grow and to where we are currently. So moving forward, its partnership is coming up with the National Wildlife Federation's Colorado River Indigenous Youth Advisory Council, also known as CRIAC. And NWF will be launching this partnership with IWLN soon. And this was the CRIAC actually started in 2024 as a mentorship and leadership program for youth and young adults 18 to 25 who desire to protect the Colorado River and serve young adults in their journey towards connecting, learning, and being a voice for the Colorado River and their tribal communities. I mean, so these 2 great organizations have come together to work toward sustainability and just the future of the life of the Colorado River and other water efforts and the environment. So I want to quickly share who the staff is, and I'm going to give a quick shout out to Daryl Vigil of Water and Tribes Initiative, and then the current Indigenous Women's Leadership co-chairs. We have Bita Bear of the Navajo Nation, Amelia Flores of the Colorado River Indian Tribes, and Gwendina Lee Gatewood from White Mountain Apache, and myself. And I want to also give a shout out to the past IWLN leadership who are the founding members, Laura Cloud of the Southern Ute co-chair from 21 to 24, Nora McDowell of Fort Mojave from 21 to 24, and Crystal Tully Cordova of Navajo. And our past staff includes Talia Bear, Yavapai, and Navajo. She was the program coordinator from 23 and 24 and still offers such a great effort to help and give her wisdom. Mira Barney of Navajo, who was served as a program assistant, and then Heather Tanana of Navajo, who was also a program coordinator. And we partnered with Women in Water Diplomacy as well as Planet Women. And so all these women are coming together, sharing the love, sharing the space. And what I'd like to really speak to quickly is IWLN is a space where we get to decolonize our gifts. And as Indigenous women, we have that spirit of matriarchal wisdom and nurturing. And a lot of times in Western society, you just don't fit. There's no place where you can use the gifts that you were given by the Creator. And so IWLN, it gives us to strengthen our gifts and our wisdom and come together in a safe place where it's accepted. And we're going to look to see who you are and bringing those gifts out to use them for the collective. So we don't have to hear, that doesn't fit here or this doesn't fit here, or, who do you think you are? I mean, we may have heard those things, but this is another reason why IWLN is so great. And I give a shout out to Sharon Magdal of University of Arizona and the support she's offered us. We all ended up in Sweden for World Water Week last year, and it was just an amazing time to see this synergy just work and just continue to grow. And I just want to end with that. I don't want to go too long and go over time, but that's the bulk of where IWLN started. And it's a great work to join the network. It's no charge at the moment, and hopefully it'll stay that way. But who knows where we can go with that? But just the information's there. You reach out by email to admin IWLN. And right now, the website has changed a little bit just because there's the partnership that's in the works. But soon everything will be updated in a way where we hope it'll be easier to access and also just come together and continue to share our support for one another and to develop each other and to ask questions without shame or fear and just to grow together. So I'm excited about IWLN. I hope if you haven't heard about us, go on the website and learn more about us. Feel free to reach out to myself or any of the other co-chairs. And blessings to you all. Thank you for the time and enjoy the rest of the time on the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darnella. And you're getting a lot of fan mail in the chat about referring to matriarchal wisdom. So people are liking the phrase and its meaning. So with that, we're going to move on to Emma Robbins, and you're all doing great with time. And those of you in the audience, think about comments. They don't have to be questions. I'll moderate those, but we're hoping to have a robust discussion when all of our speakers are done. So Emma, you're up.
Thanks, Sharon. I'm so happy to come right after Elizabeth and Darnella and hear all of the amazing things that they've been working on and following it for the past few years. So I'm Emma Robbins, Shea Emma Robbins, Yanishia, Billigana Sondana Anishle, Hashkan Hadzoche Bashis Chin, Billigana Sondana Edashiche, Adona Kaidene, Dashinale, Nane Ahasane de Nasha, Akot Ego Sanadene Nishle. I am Navajo, as was mentioned, also a Reds girl through and through, very proud of it. My background is in the arts and water, and over the past few years, I've been combining those in several different projects, and now I'm lucky to do that at Planet Women, as was mentioned, where I'm currently serving as CEO. So I want to talk a little bit about Planet Women's work and then a little bit about the Chapter House's work, which is the Indigenous Arts and Community org that I founded where I'm at here in Los Angeles. So Planet Women has been working with really great organizations such as Indigenous Women's Leadership Network. I remember when y'all were launching it several years ago, and I had just heard about it, and I really had this craving thinking, yeah, like this hasn't existed before in such a formal way. And I was really happy as a Native woman working in water sanitation and hygiene to have the opportunity to connect with other women. And that's really how I was drawn to the organization Planet Women, because I know that they're such huge supporters, not only of femme identifying people and women working in conservation, policy, human rights, obviously water, but specifically Indigenous women and femmes. And so that was really important to me. I know, I think Christine Ziegler, the founder of Planet Women, is on this call, and I really just want to highlight a lot of the amazing work that she was doing when she first started Planet Women. I know she felt the same way, that there weren't a lot of spaces for women to come together and have these conversations. And oftentimes it felt like women not only weren't at the table to talk about conservation and solutions that would work for us by us, but we didn't have a table at all. There wasn't a menu, there wasn't a restaurant, whatever you want to come up with. But we were started because women and femmes just were included in conversations when it came to how to save our planet or how to protect our Mother Earth or how to care for our communities. And I think those of us on this call, no matter how you identify, have seen that, and Planet Women exists to change that. So a lot of work that we do is supporting other organizations. As I mentioned, Indigenous Women's Leadership Network. We've worked with the Indigenous Peoples Burning Network, specifically with the women who are working in fire management. We hosted the Women and Water Convening twice now on Tohono O'odham land, which was amazing. And we brought together women working in water, whether that's recreation, whether that's conservation, water projects in terms of drinking water. And it was again one of those things that I felt like I had personally craved and it just didn't exist. And I think um, it's amazing when women can come together and again discuss problems, but also the solutions. So we also have a really amazing program called the 100 Women Pathway, which is run by my amazing colleague, Janet Wynn. Um, and it's a leadership program, not only to help women move from where they might be in one point of their career to another. So we really focus on helping women get into positions of leadership in conservation so that we can continue to really push the needle to make sure that things are working for us, by us. Um, and we also work with an amazing colleague as well, Lilian. And Lilian is running the Women's Leadership Circle and working with African nations and women from African nations to also do the same thing, to have solutions for their communities that are working, as she always says, and I always love it when she says this, working with them, not at them. That's one thing that's really unique about an organization like Planet Women is we really do have our ears open, our eyes open, and are listening to what people need, specifically women. Obviously, there are a million studies that have shown when women are involved and when Indigenous peoples and Indigenous women are involved in decision making and implementation of solutions, things go in the right way and stuff gets done. Um, we also have storytelling programs. There is an amazing group of Indigenous women writers who are writing about nature, also working in nature and conservation. So, as I mentioned, one of my favorite parts here is the way that we really do combine responsible, collaborative storytelling and making sure that we're taking those Indigenous values of art making and creation and also keeping that tied in with the other things that we do, such as protecting our Mother Earth. I will talk briefly about the chapter house. And actually, Planet Women first came into my life, sounds so dramatic, but first came into my life when the chapter house did our first art exhibition surrounding water. And so they were generous. They gave us a grant, they funded some of the work that we were doing. Um, my background is leading the Navajo Water Project, working on my own reservation, doing clean running water projects. And as I mentioned, being an artist, and as was mentioned, making art about broken treaties and really specifically about waterways and rivers and how that affects us as Native peoples. I wanted to start a space where people could come together and Native peoples and our allies and move out of these moments of survival where, 30% of us on the res don't have access to clean running water or a flush toilet, and a huge percentage of us don't have electricity or internet connectivity. And we obviously saw during the height of the pandemic that was deadly and really affected our communities in a really horrible way. So I was inspired to start a space similar to chapter houses on our reservation where people could come together and be in community. And everything that we do is centered around Native joy. And the way that we work with water is educating people about really important bodies of water, like the LA River. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I had no idea that the LA River existed. I it's embarrassing now, but didn't know a lot about California natives and their water rights and how that connected to the Colorado River or the Tongva or Chumash. And so it's really important that we educate others about that as well. Um, Now, obviously, with the fires, we're seeing that more education is needed around things like fire management or rebuilding things here in terms of seed libraries or planting or native California plants in general. But again, really thinking about how we keep that storytelling and those arts involved in what we're doing, because I truly believe that as Native people, it's so deeply rooted in who we are, and we can't do everything if we're separating those things. Um, and yeah, we have exhibitions again that are around environmental issues, environmental solutions, and then also making sure that natives have a place to come together to even discuss these things. One of my favorite programs that we have here is called JSI, or Just Stares It. And it's modeled after JMI, or Just Move It, on the Navajo Nation, which is an anti-diabetes initiative and a community project to bring people together in the summer all across the reservation to walk and just be in community and get information. And so we have that program, except we have discussions about California native plants in the areas that we're walking. And the stairs comes because we're on the east side of LA and there are a million stairs around here. And we really welcome everyone, native or not, allies, Indigenous peoples of the Americas, global Indigenous peoples, or those who might consider ourselves Native Americans. So please stop by. I'd love to talk about Planet Women if you're in LA or the Chapter House. And I think both Planet Women and the Chapter House are such a perfect example of what happens when different organizations can come together and collaborate. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Emma. Oops. And I hope the the listeners are all hearing and feeling all of your passions, because that's what's coming through. And Emma has talked about how many hours a week she spends on our chapter house. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Christine is on the call, and you're taking over as CEO, and we shouldn't maybe talk about how many hours you're spending on the chapter house.
No, talk about it.
Okay.
It's
You're,
a
you're
lot of
right.
what I do. Like last night we had a collaboration with the Mark Taper Theater opening Larissa Fast Horse's new play, Fake It Till You Make It. She's the first Native American playwright to ever have a play at the Mark Taper Theater, which is a very big deal. And so a lot of what I do is in the evening or on the weekends. What do people say? I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, I think there's so much to be done.
Yeah, I've been thinking to myself and even saying sleep is overrated. That's so anyway, let's move on to our last speaker, Megan Scott, who's going to talk about her initiatives here in the state of Arizona, which I hope others will see as a potential model for their regions or their kind of populations. So Megan, please take the floor.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank Sharon for inviting me to join today. And I want to also acknowledge I see a lot of our members and attendees and past speakers in the participant list today. And so I want to thank you guys for joining and learning about these other great organizations. They know that at events, I always encourage them at the beginning to learn at least one new thing. And so I'm sure they've learned quite a few new things today and about some great organizations. So as Sharon mentioned, I'm the co-founder of the Arizona Association of Women in Water and Agriculture. Stephanie Knight Dubin is my partner in crime, and she's on, on today with us as well. We really are an arm of the Agribusiness and Water Council of Arizona. And so we co-founded the association with their support. But the association was founded and designed to support, promote, celebrate, and inspire women with careers and interests in water and agriculture through education, networking, and fellowship. And that's really our mission, and that's our goal. And I think for me, when we started talking about this, I think as a woman in water and agriculture, I sort of frequently found myself in meetings and in rooms where I was one of the only women one of the only women in the room, or events where, clearly the number of men outweighed the number of women. But I also knew just from being kind of out in the world that there were plenty of other women doing similar work. And so we wanted to create a space where we could all come together and sort of see each other out in numbers, and counteract those experiences where we might be in a room by ourselves or outnumbered, and really connect and find support in knowing that there was this network of support in other women who work in and around water and agriculture. Excuse me. So we are a relatively new organization. 2025 kicks off our 4th year. Excuse me. I'm recovering from a cold, so I apologize. But in those 4 years, we've really been able to develop our anchor events. So we have our annual meeting, and then our Colorado River update. And our annual meeting is normally in January. This year, we'll be holding that in May. And then our Colorado River update is normally in May, but we'll be holding that virtually in late February or March. And our annual meeting really just focuses on bringing women together, hearing stories about how they've worked through their careers and where they've found themselves now and kind of how they got there, and hearing just different perspectives and really trying to find inspiration and in sort of getting together and spending that time with each other. And then our Colorado River update is a lot more substantive. You know, we're really looking at what's going on the Colorado River and getting presentations on updates on hydrology or hearing different perspectives from other basin states, or even we've had tribal members come and talk about their perspectives and the challenges that they face. And then for fun, always before our events, we always have a Wine, Women, and Water event, which really allows us to kind of meet and network and catch up the night before the event. And it really brings kind of a different energy when we all show up the next morning for those events. One of the new things that we're working on is we're working on tours around the state. So really, if it's going to a certain area or a certain county, looking at particular industries, really whatever our members are interested in and want to see. And so our first one will be next January in Yuma, and we'll be looking at agriculture specifically. And so we'll make sure to save the date out for that. But I think, you know, our goal always is to strive to bring women together, to share experiences and network and learn from each other, with a focus of really inspiring future female leaders, you know, hoping that they attend these conferences and hear these stories, and it inspires them to follow similar paths, or at least reach for those similar leadership roles. And we always want women to learn something new, like I mentioned, and make new connections and leave our events with a renewed energy for kind of all the hard work that we all do in water and agriculture across the state. And I will say, we have a handful of men that always attend our events and are very supportive, and we really enjoy having them there, and encourage other men to join us for our events, because they really are valuable, whether you're male or female. So with that, I'll mention shameless plug for our social media accounts. That's where you're going to see a lot of updates on our upcoming events. You can find us on Facebook at Arizona Association of Women in Water and Agriculture, and on Instagram at AZ Women in Water. And then you can always look at, go to ABWC's website and find information about our events there as well. So thank you again, Sharon, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, well, we're going to all come back on now, because this is the time for some discussion and question and so forth. I just want to summarize, as I've looked down the list of people actually here, and we've had at least twice that many register. I kept encouraging people to register, even if the time zone doesn't make it, because then they could get notified of the recording and watch the recording. So we knew there would be many more registered than here, but we have at the moment 129 people on, which is really a very nice group. And we're grateful for everybody who's joined, including the men. And, you know, Elizabeth, I don't know if it's like a formal term, but the male champions are very, very important to the Women in Water Diplomacy Network. Megan Scott, at the annual meeting we hosted last year, it was the law office of Wade Noble that gave us the nice journal book, and appreciated that. And the male champions and colleagues, and Charles Stack is out there asking if he was the only one. You know, we're grateful for that. And so this is about inclusivity. And, you know, I just made a couple of notes. What I think very exciting about this is trying to be inclusive and have low barriers to people engaging and coming together and sharing. Yes, these are all about networks focused on women, but it's all about kind of doing good and doing good for the earth and water and uh, the younger people and the elders and all that. So, I just made inclusivity, dialogue, and learning. Those are some of the things that are really common to all the networks. And so, as I looked on the list, there are so many people on the list of participants who have been connected in significant ways, one way or the other. But I wanted to maybe call on Gwendina Lee Gatewood, if she's still here, if she wanted to unmute, and if my staff can get her to show herself. Gwendina, who's a former chairwoman of the White Mountain Apache, was a participant in the second Global Forum, and also was in Stockholm, and is now, one of the co-chairs of the Indigenous Women's Leadership Network. Gwendina, are you still there? And would you like to just make a remark or two?
Sure, I'm here. I'm trying to show my video, but it's not letting me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am very honored to, see some amazing women present today on the importance of networking, the importance of what we as women stand for, and the work that we do, whether it's in our own homes or in our careers. Everything is connected. And I really like how all the presenters, conveyed the importance of us to stick together and continue the work. And, I encourage all the participants who are watching, ask about the programs. You never know where that may lead you to another, networking organization that might get you what you're looking for. We're all working together to help each other rise above and continue to do our work. And my applause to all the presenters, and for you, Sharon, putting this together. I can't say enough good things about networking, working together. And I saw my good friend from Africa, Zodwa. Hello. I see her commenting. I really admire her leadership. She was very instrumental for us in Vienna. And just reading her writings on LinkedIn and whatnot, all of those resources are available to everybody. And that's how you learn and grow and ask questions of these women. And you can even ask questions of us as co-chairs on IWLN, send you to resources that we know of, or, a lot of great webinars too that happen for free. And it's a great way to grow and develop your own career and knowledge, just getting that knowledge out there and growing yourself.
Right. Thank you, Gwendina. It's always great to hear you, if not see your face. And Gwendina is a great practitioner of social media postings, and she had just a great posting from Vienna of her in her traditional ribbon skirt or skirt in the streets. And I don't know how many, she told me how many views she got of that video, and I thought, oh gee, if I could ever get that number of views, it's great. So we also have skills that are sometimes not they're skills of living and being part of networks that aren't necessarily all like water talk, right? They're just how to get the word out and things like that. I want to ask if you might be willing to put your chats, your email addresses in the chats, because one of the questions in there, Megan, and I don't know if you've looked at the chat, but one of them is a very specific question about legislation in front of the Arizona legislature, and I'm not sure you want to answer that at today's program. And so, if it's okay for that person to possibly email you, and you can get on the phone or a Zoom, that might be a better way to deal with that. And of course, LinkedIn works really great, I know, for the Women in Water Diplomacy Network. But Elizabeth, if you want to put in another contact there, because I do want to mention one of the motivations of doing this for those like Zodwa and Maha, people who are part, and Representative Stacey Travers just got online. And where that one of the pictures Elizabeth showed in her presentation was this great reception that a lot of us kind of chipped in money for, and we got support from some of the organizations who are on the call now, SRP and CAP and, My Center and the Udall Center and many others put in funds to help us have this great reception. And we all loved it. And there's a photo of us looking up and smiling faces, but we didn't have something this year at Colorado River Water Users, and people were saying, "What happened to the Women Water Diplomacy Network?" And then in December, right after that, Elizabeth held her annual report. What she showed were some of the slides from a much longer annual report. Well, there was a little glitch in the Zoom, and there were people who wanted to participate who got closed out just because of a glitch in the Zoom. So that's what, let's do this. Let's, get people together on a webinar and talk about these great groups and the timing. Everybody was doing things. IWLN, very active at Colorado River Water Users, and then Planet Women having its program in November. So it's just so many things happening together that gave me the idea to do it. So I'm so glad you all agreed and all of you are joining us. So I'm just looking now because I'm talking too much to moderate the Q&A. So I just want to getting a lot of thanks and support here. I was looking, I don't think Amelia Flores, chairwoman of the Colorado River Indian Tribes, I don't think she was able to make it, but I know that Stephanie is on, Stephanie Knight, and I forget the last part of your name now because that's a new part of it. And also Christine Ziegler, who's helped found Planet Women. So Stephanie, might you like to say, I was almost going to say Dugan, and I knew that wasn't right. So now we see your name on there, Dubian, or however. So Stephanie, it's good to see you. I didn't even see you at CRUA, I don't think. But I thought maybe if you'd like to add some remarks, and then Christine.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, sorry about the last name. Got remarried. So there is, one of the parts that Megan and I really kind of tried to work on is also bringing in the young girls. We've been going, especially for ABWC, and that is educating the younger kids, going to FFA, job fairs, things like that. And at several of our meetings, we've actually had some of the younger girls really present and try and give their thoughts, and then incorporating that into our program. And using some of our other special ed board members, because there's Leslie Myers and Brenda Berman and some of our other board members that, can help mentor those younger girls, and all of us doing that for them, because sometimes in water, it's like, to Megan's point, it was all men, and you kind of had to find your way. So trying to develop that network for those younger girls that really wanted a career in water and in natural resources, because you don't find that very often, especially when we're going to some of these job fairs. They're trying to go into other things, and in the schools, they're not sharing that with them either, that there's all of these opportunities for these young women. So that's kind of one of the things that we also try and endeavor to do. So.
Well, and I think having the young women see other women as role models, I think that sometimes the value of that is underestimated. And so you're offering that, and then seeing people advance, because Stephanie is now the executive director of the Agribusiness and Water Council as of just a couple of months ago. So congratulations to you, Stephanie. And we're seeing a woman in that leadership role for the first time. We still are having first time examples. So congratulations to you, Stephanie, and we're delighted to see you. And then Christine, and then I have a question or two. They're coming in now. But Christine Ziegler, would you like to say a few words? So nice to see you on the screen.
You've all said the good words. I'm just sitting here beaming in the light of everyone's leadership and everyone's vision. And when women come together, they get it done. It is always a remarkable sight to see what can happen. And you do hear some pushback from different corners of the world, like, well, not every woman is a better leader, and just being gendered as female doesn't mean you're a better leader. And I get that, and I understand where that's coming from. But I gotta say, we're not meeting any global commitment to the climate or to plastics in the ocean or to a better Colorado River usage policy and a fairness policy for the tribes. And I think the reason is clear. When women are involved in decision making, when we have authority, when we have money, when we are not just one at the table, but when we make up half or more of the table, solutions are more durable. So I'm just so proud of what you put together, Sharon. You're such a leader and visionary to see all the interconnectedness of this group and beyond. And as a global leader, I'm just really excited I get to be your friend and colleague and here to support. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're very kind and perhaps overrating me, but I'll take it for the day. You've made my day. So thank you. We have a question from Charles Stack to everyone is how do we men do a better job as champions supporting women? So who would like to tackle that one first? Elizabeth.
There's so much to say. I can jump in. Thank you, Charles, for bringing this up. Of course, gender equality is something all of us have to contribute to in this world, and certainly not only women's work. And men play critical roles in just about any way we can think about. It's really, I think the only limitation is our creativity. In the Women in Water Diplomacy Network, about 10% of our active membership are men, and we've had a couple really informative sessions to unpack this question exactly. And it's, I mean, there's just really amazing ideas out there. I think that our sessions have been recorded as well in case you want to look back at those conversations. Male water diplomats involved in those conversations have identified all sorts of roles. For example, mentorship, sponsorship, not only promoting, but broadening those in decision making. I loved this one study that showed when a delegation moved from just 2 people to 3 people, there was a huge opportunity for improving women's representation in that intervention. This one from when I worked at Seaweed that always stays really close to my mind for all of you speaking and lecturing in various capacities. If the first question in a discussion goes to women, this study found that women's participation in that would grow by 70%. I mean, this is to me easy intervention with a huge outcome. So making space is another thing we have talked about a lot in the Women in Water Diplomacy Network, where of course we are always looking to expand the table, expand the pie, create new opportunities and spaces for more inclusion. But there's also times when it makes sense for those who have had many opportunities to take a step back and create more opportunities for others. So, of course, we're big fans of the No Mantle pledge, which is that we don't want to create or also participate in events that would exclude voices. And that was also captured. The mantle is an all-male panel. And we encourage people to say, hey, let me step back and share another perspective in that too. So there's really just a wealth of opportunities for anyone in any capacity to contribute to improve gender equality across the water sector.
Anybody else like to respond? Great response there, Elizabeth. Well, if nobody
I'd like to add something.
Oh, yes, please,
really
Darnella.
quick. Okay, so I have a long history of working in male-dominated professions, not only law enforcement, military, tribal leadership as well. And I believe what you can do, it's what you say when we're not in the room, and how you speak about us, how you present us to others, and remember the strengths where you drew from your mother, your sisters, the women in your community. I believe in a lot of areas it was supported in a different way. And I think when we come out in these leading roles, just the way sometimes men look at us as we're competition or we're going to take something away from them. But I think if we look back to honor, respect, and wisdom and understand that, especially in Indigenous leadership models, women, we all came from a woman. We started in the womb. And just to remember that and bring that value back to our women, I think that alone will speak volumes to what we have to deal with sometimes when we walk into rooms in the decision-making process. So your support is great, greatly appreciated. But just what you say about women in leadership, and when you see them maybe coming into an unfamiliar situation or territory, be that support. Offer the wisdom that you have and make these shared experiences instead of competitive ones. So I just wanted to add that. So thank you.
There's plenty of work for all of us to be doing, right? We're not pushing somebody else out of doing the important work. I have it in the chat from Kieran Vicente, who's a water commissioner for the Jicarilla Apache Nation, and he'd like to ask a question. Kieran, if you're still here and if you'd like to unmute to ask your question.
Hi, yes. So my question is, how are your organizations looking to include youth voices in these spaces? And I ask this mostly because I am typically the youngest person at these meetings. And like at CRUA, I spoke at the WRRC meeting, and it was really interesting to get that perspective of people coming up to me being like, wow, we haven't had many youth voices in these spaces, and I was wondering how your organizations are looking to support youth voices, especially in like leadership positions as well.
Who
I
would
think
like
I
to
can.
take it? Yeah, Megan, please.
Yeah, I think Stephanie already touched on it a little bit, but one of the things that we do is we do try to offer opportunities for young people, students, like Stephanie said, high school, from high school level to college, but just giving them a platform and an opportunity to provide their perspective. And so we've had them present about what they think all of us are kind of failing at, right? Or the things that we can work on in trying to connect with younger people, and also just kind of getting their perspective on what they think we should be working on. And also just giving them the opportunities to introduce speakers and kind of get them out, kind of get them up there on stage and in those sort of roles and kind of out of their comfort zones. And we definitely really try to target student attendees at our events, making sure that they're able to attend. There's a discounted rate for that. But we really enjoy having young people at our events, whether they're still students, whether they're just sort of starting off in their careers, but just offering that opportunity for them as well. And when they're willing, kind of giving them the stage to kind of provide their perspective. And that's one of our biggest goals is getting those perspectives out there in every angle. From from a gender standpoint, we do try to keep our speakers to females, but we try to cover all sectors, cover all perspectives. And that includes age. So
Elizabeth, I think you want to add something here.
Well, I do, because I think it's such an important point. And there's so much that practitioners that perhaps are well versed in gender equality in different fields or inclusion more broadly can bring to the discussion around youth empowerment and engagement. In the network, I really stress the importance of doing a gender analysis as part of water planning. Okay, and what do we learn from that? We learn to do water governance better, more responsive to those that it's meant to serve. Likewise, very important to do context analysis around young people, their role in a basin, getting down to collecting age disaggregated data so you can understand your community and their differentiating needs and opportunities to contribute in the network. I mean, we're really hand in hand with young leaders. We have some internal and exterior indicators to make sure that we're properly involving young people. And then when we're not, we're looking to fill those gaps. But, setting goals, 25% of our membership needs to be 35 years old and younger. How do we create these opportunities for intergenerational discussions and bring young people along? So really important question, and a lot more that we as a community can do in that regard as well.
I know Emma, and then after Emma, Darnella, this is a very, you asked it of everybody and everybody wants to answer it, Kieran. So Emma.
Hey Karen, it's good to see you. I think, well, one moment to laugh about is on the res, on my res, everyone's always like, "Oh, youth." Like they call me the youth, and I'm like, "I'm 38." Like I don't think I'm really a youth. And so I think also shifting the way that people think about who is a youth, but that's a whole other thing. So I can talk about both the Chapter House and Planet Women briefly, but what our organization is doing, specifically with the Chapter House and what I learned to do when I was at Dig Deep Water is understanding that everyone has a broad spectrum of expertise. It took me 10 years to finish art school. I don't have a background in WASH. I didn't get a background or a degree in engineering. I don't have any formal water training, but a lot of it came from community organization. So I think understanding that not everybody is going to have a traditional academic route, and understanding that we need to provide experiences for those people to get that. I mean, I learned so much just being at a Lowe's and looking at shark bite fittings and PECs and understanding how to do things that I probably wouldn't have learned if I had gone to UC Chapel and had done strict WASH stuff. So I think what we're doing is we've created programs. I was just talking about this yesterday with Christine, called Weaving the Park, and that was connected all around the LA River, and talking about water solutions in Los Angeles when it came to drought. And most of the students who participated were 14 to 16, and they really had this moment where they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can work in this and I can get community experience, and I don't necessarily need to go to college because I'm an artist and I want to do this." I mean, going to school will help you greatly. I'm not saying anything against academia or school, but providing those opportunities too, where you can even open the door and say, "You don't have to do this strictly, you can do this work in another way." In terms of Planet Women, at the Women in Water convening, starting to make sure that we're inviting younger folks, starting to make sure that we're welcoming everybody, not just people who are, we're like women and girls. I mean, there's such a broad spectrum of gender at this point. It's 2025. We need to start including queer and trans and other femme identifying folks. And I think just sort of thinking about how to shift that and listening to people at these convenings. We have the 100 Women Pathway, as I mentioned, but in 2025 and 2026, really actively working to connecting those women who are further on in their career with younger people or people who are earlier on in their career. And I think that's just super important because we don't always have those opportunities. So I know, like with IWLN, a really amazing thing that has been helpful to me is just having access to those people, even. I mean, I feel like the Lorelei Clouds of the world are amazing and available, and I can text her and ask her a question about something. So I think really encouraging others as well to just be cool with giving out your cell phone number every now and then to the young pups and saying, "Text me when you have a question."
Great. Darnella.
So earlier I mentioned the CRIAC program that's going to be a partnership with IWLN. And this was another question that was similar by actually one of our founding members, Crystal Tully Cordova, who is also on the webinar at the moment. And just how do we plan for succession? And one of the things for the past 2 years in a row, IWLN has offered scholarships to students. We gave out 5 last year and the year prior, so to attend CRUA. And that's huge just for making those connections, letting these younger folks understand and see what it's like to attend these water meetings, what it's all about. And sometimes that's a better testing of what you know or how comfortable you are in these spaces and what it looks like and how tribal leadership participates. But I think continuing on that path with CRIAC and the partnership is going to be huge because again, it's working with women leaders and then as well as bringing the youth together. So that's a great question, but soon to come, they should be having a new director in the next month or so, and you should hear a whole lot more about what this merged effort is going to look like. So thanks for the question.
Well, yeah, and we have about 5 minutes left, and that question about succession planning, Darnella, thanks for doing the segue to that question in the context of your answer to Kieran's question. But maybe I should call on Christine to talk about succession planning since she just had Emma follow as CEO of Planet Women. So, Christine, the question is, how are your organizations dealing with succession planning? And maybe you want to start and give a brief answer for Planet Women?
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, we do not have good models in the United States and I think in the West in general about succession planning. Everyone talks about it, but how many senators and Congress people do you see who serve almost until they're dead? How many people do you see in CEO roles who are there 10, 20, 30, 40? And we're like lauding them like, oh, you're so dedicated. Meanwhile, younger people have to wait until they're quite far along in their lives before they ever get the chance to serve, before they ever get the chance to lead. And so I appreciated Karen's question because everyone has power, everyone can lead. You're going to have a different perspective and different energy and different ideas. And when you're older, you might be more jaded or more practical. And when you're younger, you might have more energy and you sleep less. Whatever it is, everyone has the responsibility to lead, especially given that we all need environmental leaders to cope with the disasters that are coming our way from the climate crisis. And so I just felt it in my bones that I didn't want to be the CEO that was in place for very long. And so I didn't feel a ton of support from the wider world of, wow, you've only been in place for like 4 or 5 years. Like you're already wanting to leave. What's wrong? So there isn't a lot of support in our society for making room for introducing people at panels to get different voices on the stage. And so that work that you all do is so critical and I believe will make a difference. And we're on a long cycle of change. Maybe it's not going to be in our lifetime that we're going to see a woman president of the United States. I hope I will, but I'm on the 500-year scale. We got to make changes now to impact the many generations that come after us. So I'm really thrilled that you're all supporting our journey at Planet Women and our succession plan. And Emma just taking over this month as CEO. I'm staying on, which is also a little unusual. I'm still on the staff of Planet Women and just trying to blow the wind behind Emma's back because this woman can fly. I know some of you have seen those wings. You already know she was flying all along. So we're just trying to get lots of support, lots of resources, and work behind the scenes so that we can get more Indigenous women and more voices, more queer, more trans, more two-spirit people into the movement because it can't be a movement of white people, which it kind of is when you look at the Green 2.0 report. So thank you, Sharon.
Well, yeah, given that we're out of time, I'm going to take the prerogative of the host here and just mention a couple of things. And that is, this is my observation, is that some of these organizations, maybe all of them, are rather new. And so it might be challenging to think about succession planning if you don't know that you have an organization to carry forward. And so I'm just thinking out loud that maybe, and you don't need me to do this, maybe you want to think about having a session focused on how to build an organization so that you do have to worry about succession planning. Because I know that's something Elizabeth is, focused on quite a bit. And so I'm just throwing that out there as an idea. Because sometimes my feeling is, I'm trained as an economist. I've been on boards of big corporations and looked at financial sheets A lot of people say, well, I don't know about the money side. I don't like asking for money. How do you do that? So maybe that's something kind of professional development we could think about. But I do also want to note that there are a lot of comments in there about how do I connect with you? Can we share the list and so forth? And we don't usually get the list in a form that we can readily share. But I'm going to think about, and I'm mentioning this on this so my staff hears it. We will get an email out tomorrow about the recording. And I think we'll probably want to say something about, if you want more information, go here or there, whatever. It seems like this session is the start of kind of many conversations, and we just want to keep it going. So I want to thank you all for participating. I want to thank those who are here, and just want to give anybody who have some closing remarks, please unmute yourself of the 4 panelists. Don't be shy.
I just wanted to quickly leave a blessing on each one of you today, just with all that we're going on, what's going on in the world, and just in our area and around the globe, and just speak strength to you and peace, and that you would find a space to be able to just release the pain and some of the struggles that you brought into the new year with, and just thank you for sharing this time with all of us.
I think that's a great way to end, Darnella. And with that, I'm going to thank you again and thank all the participants and wish everybody a good day, a good night of sleep for those of you who are many hours in advance. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.